Alejandrina, can I say hello?
Hi there, everybody. I think I'm having an issue with my audio. I can't quite hear you guys. Give me 1 second.
Hello. Am I in the right meeting? I can't see everybody, so participants. Oh, okay.
Yep, so we're just waiting a few minutes to reach our quorum. We did hear from William. He's going to be a few minutes late, so we'd like to give it a few minutes, wait for him before we get started, and hopefully Bob will be joining us as well.
Okay. I might be in the car in a little bit.
Okay.
I'm listening.
The beauty of virtual meetings.
I know. I've never done this really on my phone, so.
Okay, I think I fixed it. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you, Shawnee.
I know. I wish I could see you, Alejandrina. How are you doing?
This is how I'm doing. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm in teacher mode. This is our week that we're getting ready for students next week. So I honestly just rushed home from Ponderosa.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, it's nice to see you. I was so excited to see you get appointed to this commission. So
Oh,
congratulations.
thank you. Nice to see you too, Shawnee.
Hi, Grace.
Hi, Shawnee.
Can I introduce myself to the rest of the group before you guys get started? Would that be okay? teacher or a counselor at the school?
I'm a teacher, 4th grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did not go into counseling.
So you know Yadira used to work for us.
Yes.
Moreno?
Yes.
Yeah.
She told
Well,
me
her
she
last name's
started
not
off with
Moreno.
Anaheim, right?
I think I hired her.
Oh, how funny.
Yes.
So many things I want to talk to you about, but they're all on the agenda, so I have to wait. Hi, William.
Hello, apologies.
Just made it under the wire.
Awesome.
Okay, well, we can get started as soon as you're settled and ready.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. A call to order this April 15th Commission of Cultural and Heritage meeting at 6:42. And Karen, yes, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Got the flag behind me, so everybody, head over heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Karen. Do we have any unscheduled public communication today?
Sorry to interrupt, Chair Camargo, but if I can take roll call
Oh, yes.
before we go ahead. Okay, and if you can, please answer with present as I call your name. Chair William Camargo,
Present.
Commissioner Alejandrina Ariano,
Present.
Commissioner Kristen Maas,
Present.
Commissioner Suman Marwa. Okay, we do not have that. Commissioner Robert Sanchez. He's not logged on either. And Commissioner Karen Uematsu.
Present.
Okay, and for staff, we have our Heritage Services Manager, Jane Newell.
Sorry, I was muted. Present.
Our Community Services Superintendent, Holly Unruh.
Present.
Myself, Senior Secretary Eleanor Grandfloor. And then we also have on our Interim Community Services Director, Shawnee Larson-Cash. And we also have Grace. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your last name. Grace, how do we say your last name again?
It's Stepter.
Stepter. Grace Stepter we have.
Eleanor, I said present, but I was muted. My apologies.
Thank you, Shawnee.
Well, thank you. And yeah, do we have any unscheduled public communication, Holly?
Yes, so we do have some scheduled communication tonight. We are lucky to have with us Shawnee and Grace, who have already introduced themselves. But again, Shawnee Larson-Cash, our Interim Community Services Director, and Grace Stepter, who's our Interim Community Development Director. And they are going to be here to give some background on the Cultural Arts Building, which we discussed briefly last week as part of a presentation by the Anaheim Ballet, and also be available to answer any questions that you may have. So I will go ahead and let Grace take it away.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for having me today. As introduced, my name is Grace Stepter. I am the Acting Director for the Community and Economic Development Department. And the reason I'm here today is that the Cultural Arts Building is actually a housing asset currently identified under the Community and Economic Development Land Asset Plan. And I understand that the commission wants to better understand the history of the building, where we're at currently, and how really all of this intersects with the Anaheim Ballet. So I hope to provide that context tonight and answer any questions that you may have. So the Community and Economic Development Department houses a number of development arms of the city, including the Housing Authority, the Economic Development functions. And up until 2011 was also the city's redevelopment agency. And under the umbrella of the redevelopment agency, our main function was to secure key critical land components of the city for multiple uses, whether it be housing development or business retention and attraction, or general revitalization. Historically, the city of Anaheim had demolished a number of acres, quite significant, I think. And Ms. Newell, I see her on the call. She's always instrumental in giving us and sharing all that history with us in terms of just where the downtown has been and where it was going. So the redevelopment agency was really put in place to try to really reinvigorate the downtown area, make critical decisions about land use issues, identify what corridors were best for business or retail spaces, and where it may be more appropriate to have residential spaces. And that's all described in plans that date back to 1973 and have been modified over time. And the Cultural Arts Building is identified in those documents as being an area of the city that was under the domain of the Anaheim Redevelopment Agency and was considered in terms of what's its best use in order to serve the future of Anaheim. And the Cultural Arts Building, as identified in documents that I was able to find going back to 1973, has always been identified as an area where the forefathers believed residential would be the ideal use, with some surrounding open space. The corridors along Anaheim Boulevard were always thought of in those early plans as spaces where business and retail would thrive, and then behind it would be residential. And so that's been the position of the city long term, in terms of that in time that would happen. Obviously, plans require resources and the proper timing. So those things have taken time to take place. I mean, here today, you'll see the packing house, you'll see the domain. All of those items are also part of the larger redevelopment plan. And so a lot of things have happened, but a redevelopment plan really is a document and a plan that takes some longevity to take place. So that is why the Cultural Arts Building in and of itself is one of the last things in that 1973 plan that still hasn't seen its ultimate purpose, but certainly was part of the planning process. The packing house itself is probably not more than 10 years old. The domain, all of that was contemplated in these initial plans. So in 2011, the redevelopment agency, through an act of the state government, was dissolved. And as part of that dissolution, the agency, the Anaheim Redevelopment Agency, was required by law to look at all the assets that it held and identify to the state and to any other taxing agency what the purpose of each parcel was. So we had to declare whether it was for government use, whether it was for an economic development purpose, or it was for a housing purpose. Through that action, the Cultural Arts Building was once again reaffirmed as being a building that was being held by the redevelopment agency for the purposes of future development of affordable housing. And that's an important distinction, because the mission of the redevelopment agency was, one, economic development, but also the development of affordable housing. 30% of the funds that came into the redevelopment agency were to be used for the purposes of furthering the availability of affordable housing. But in between there, the Cultural Arts Building has seen multiple iterations, which you may have heard from the ballet already. Prior to the ballet occupying that space, it was a senior center. And before the senior center, it no longer was being used as a senior center once the downtown community center was built, and a senior wing became part of that development. So seeing that the building was vacant and the ballet was now in Anaheim, probably in its early heydays, and had been using other space, I believe the George Foreman Auditorium, the opportunity presented itself for the Anaheim Ballet to use that space, and the redevelopment agency entered into an agreement with the Anaheim Ballet in 1999, allowing for the use of that space for 5 years. And those documents are clear that, that it is an interim use. But, fast forward, and the Anaheim Ballet has been there since that period of time. We know that they are a tremendous asset to the city, that is, they're beloved, and they do excellent work. So, from the agency's perspective and the department's perspective, that certainly never in question in terms of its value, in terms of its place in the city. It's really been about a discussion about the property itself and what it was, the ultimate disposition of the property, and then how that impacts the ballet. But again, in the 1999 documents, it was a 5-year agreement that was to sunset at the end of the 5-year period. It come in 2006, the plans for the building had not yet fully developed. They were not imminent. So those our city leadership felt that, well, without an eminent plan, there's no harm, no foul in having the ballet continue to be there. So a right of entry was entered into that was at that point a 3-party agreement between the redevelopment agency, the ballet, and the community services department. Community services became involved at that point because a lot of what was the ballet offered was really youth programming, in addition to their formal training arm, what we were getting as a city in terms of concessions for the use of the building, because the rent we have not charged the ballet rent, was really youth programming. So the community services department is really the arm of the city that operates and knows best how to monitor and support youth programming. So the redevelopment agency still was a primary holder of the building, but it was felt that from an operations point of view, that the community service was best to be the day-to-day guardian shepherd of the operations that were happening there. So again, that takes it then back to the 2011 and why that date is important. When the redevelopment agency dissolved, it was really because the state found themselves in a budget shortfall, and the dissolving of redevelopment agencies was a way to help to shore up the state deficit, because redevelopment agencies took part of tax money that came to the state. That's the tax increment. That's how we got money to develop affordable housing and to engage in economic development activities. And the state felt like that it was time to sweep that back. Based on that 2011 action, a lot of different state legislation was put into place that started to compel us to move our plans for redevelopment or economic or affordable housing, to move those much quicker, to accelerate them. And based on that, we started to have discussions early on around 2013 or so with the ballet, in terms of just letting them know the legislative landscape appears that we're going to have to do something with the structure sooner rather than later. Those were informal conversations because we knew that legislation was coming, but nothing was written in stone. Fast forward, and in 2013, things did start to become more formalized, and we were given a 5-year time clock to really start to show progress to the state, that anything that we had held on to that had any ties to the redevelopment agency, that they were plans to activate them for their intended use. And so that is at the point that we really kind of started to engage in more serious discussions with city leadership and give the ballet a lot more direct information about the fact that a relocation was likely going to be necessary based on the state legislation that was compelling us to move forward. And last year, those conversations accelerated to the point that we were proposing to enter into a cooperative agreement with the ballet, whereby they would be given 1 year to start to look at alternative locations where the city committed to working with them on identifying those spaces. And then based on whatever that outcome might be, we would have further conversations with the city council about what kind of support, if any, was necessary to help the ballet relocate, always with the intent of making it clear that, you know, the entire city supports the ballet, but we're kind of caught in this catch-22 in that affordable housing is also a very critical need in the city. It is something that the state legislature cares a lot about, and that this building has been identified for that purpose. And so we're also running up against some state regulations and the potential of being in default of those things if we don't activate that building. So I think between community services and community development, we've been trying to gently share that information with the ballet, but at the same time instill the sense of urgency that exists based on these rules as we get closer to those timeframes and as we get closer to feeling like the state is going to start to scrutinize that. I think the other probably piece of information that might be important to share is that the city has this obligation called under this state requirement called the RHNA, Regional Housing Needs Allocation. These are formulas that the state prescribes to all cities throughout California. And this is a number that is a target that each city must meet in order to ensure that it's keeping up with the housing demands of the city and then ultimately rolls up to the state. Anaheim's RHNA numbers are going from 5,000 to 6,000 in this next RHNA cycle, which triggers next year, to 17,000. That is why there's added scrutiny on what assets do cities hold that were intended to be for affordable housing. We are being compelled in a very serious manner to activate anything that is being held for affordable housing. And so that's another reason why this conversation has come to light. So as you can see, it's multiple layers involved in why we're here with the ballet. I hope that has that, you know, this, my attempt to give you a little bit of information at least sets the framework for why the department and really the city is hoping to engage in more determined conversations with the ballet about the potential for a relocation. But I will also say that more recently and all along we've also looked at the possibility of a repurpose of the building as part of a component of affordable housing. The building is older. It does have some structural issues. So we're really not 100% certain that that's going to be viable, that it isn't going to be more costly to do that than to start with fresh bones. We also know, we've heard from a lot of community folks that they feel that the building is historical in nature. And because we do have an expert on the line in our midst in Ms. Newell, I think I would defer to her in terms of whether or not it's historical from a factual technical nature. Certainly it's been here for a long time and it's beloved by the community, but whether it actually raises to the standards of historical is something that we've been told that it is not. So I think those are the three key points that I will end my comments with. I'm certainly available to take any questions.
So let me just give you a real brief outline of the historic, the way the city looks at the historic structures. So it's within what's called the Anaheim Colony Historic District. It has a very defined period of significance, which is 1857 to 1949. And that is related to construction dates. This building was constructed as the parish hall for Zion Lutheran Church in 1955. It does not meet that minimum requirement of 1949 or earlier. So that's part of the issue. It cannot be considered a contributor to the Colony District. So the only other way it could be designated historic would be as a standalone structure. That again is very problematic for a couple of reasons. Number one, it no longer has the church, the Zion Lutheran Church, which it was built as a supporting building for. The Zion Lutheran Church was torn down, so it stands by itself. And the other problem is that they realigned Lincoln Avenue up to Chartres. It actually sat on Chartres Street. So even the site has been altered significantly. And so there's really, it would be almost impossible. Actually, I think it would be impossible to try to justify it as a National Register historic structure, just because of that, for those reasons. So that's why it's a real problem for us as far as a historic structure. It really does not meet any of our definitions, unfortunately.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because that is the information that we've received previously. But you know, we always defer to you when it comes to these things that have to do with the really defining historical nature of buildings.
Well, thank you both so much for the opportunity for the commission to be educated on this matter. You are able to ask follow-up questions, commissioners, if you are interested. You have about 5 minutes to do that. So if anyone has any questions, now would be the time to ask them.
I have a Commissioner Camargo here. And would the council need support for Anaheim Ballet to also continue not paying rent on their relocation building, or is that something that's going to change?
Would the council need support? You mean?
No, like would they have to pay rent for the next building if when they're relocated?
Okay, so part of. Go ahead, Shani.
I have some of the information on the agreement, Grace. Do you want me to take this question?
Sure.
Okay, so the cooperative agreement is planned to go to City Council on April 27th. And so as part of that agreement, what it says is it's basically the city is going to cooperate with the ballet to assist them. Well, we're not sure in what all of that means. So it is laid out in a couple of different ways. So there would be the possibility, we're going to work together with a real estate professional, and we want to help the ballet to help identify a suitable and financially feasible replacement site. We don't know under what terms at this point on what that building would look like, if it's the existing building or another building. So it says that we will assist them with either the acquisition or lease of a replacement site, that funding options for interior or exterior improvements at the building or another potential site, and funding for operations of the ballet. So these are all the things that we are indicating that we are open to negotiating and assisting with the ballet, with the idea that anything is on the table. That means the city, if it had the resources, could buy the building from the housing authority, and then let the Anaheim Ballet continue to use that building, which is in need of major repair, and that's another issue. The city could help them find another building that they could use, whether that's acquiring, whether that's leasing, and then under what types of terms. The city could provide assistance in any of those terms. Maybe it's a temporary assistance, maybe it's 100% assistance. We don't have that information right now. Then there is concern for funding for improvements. So whether it's the existing building or if they end up with an empty shell and they need to create the right interior to work for the ballet's needs, then that is also something optional. So what this agreement says, We all know what's going on, and we're going to work together with you to come up with a plan. And then we're going to bring that plan back to City Council for approval. So we're at the stage in the game where we're coming to City Council saying, hey, we're at a position where we have to do something here. We're going to work with the ballet. Please give us any feedback, any direction, and then we will negotiate work and then come back with a plan for council to approve. So that's where we stand right now with with the agreement that we are bringing for council approval on Tuesday, April 27th.
And I think if
Did that answer your question?
if I could add to Shawnee's comment, part of the reason that they don't pay rent right now is that that building is owned by the city, free and clear. So there's no mortgage or what have you, although we do pay for ongoing maintenance on it. And we did that because it was an eligible use under the redevelopment agency. With the redevelopment agency having dissolved, our ability to continue to maintain the building also went away. So that's another concern. We do not, although we have worked with the ballet, we have not been able to identify a city-owned site of equivalent square footage whereby, the city owns outright and then would easily allow us to say, okay, you can come here, occupy the city space because it's not being used for another purpose, and allow that type of a rent arrangement. We think, although as Shawnee indicated, everything's on the table, we think that that it's highly likely that the solution is going to be a lease space or something that's privately owned that allows for the spacing and the type of structural integrity that the ballet needs to continue to operate. But obviously, if the building is privately owned, most commercial leases are going to expect some kind of rent. They're not in the same position where the city is. We're currently we have the space on an interim basis while it's waiting to become what its ultimate purpose is. And so, the ballet for the last 20 years has been able to occupy that space and, benefit from the fact that we don't have a mortgage there. So it's just to add on to what Shawnee said, where the ballet lands is ultimately going to determine what that rent structure looks like.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. So thank you so much to both Grace and Shawnee for that information, and Jane as well, our resident history expert. We are lucky to have her. Again, if you have any additional questions, you can reach out, and we are happy to be able to educate you on this. And thank you again to Grace and Shawnee. All right. Well, thank you. You guys are welcome to stay on if you want. Otherwise, good night, and appreciate your time very much.
Thank you. I will take you up on that. Good night. See you. I'm sure we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Now we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes for March 18th. Can I get someone to second, or is it?
Someone needs to move to approve it.
Oh, yeah.
I move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second.
Can you state your names?
I'm sorry, this is Commissioner Uematsu. I move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
And Commissioner Camargo seconded.
Okay, and with that, I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote for the approval of the March 18th. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have 2020 here. So it should be March 18th, 2021 minutes with the motion made by Commissioner Uematsu, seconded by Chair Camargo. When I call your name, please answer with aye, nay, or abstention. Chair Camargo,
Aye.
Commissioner Ariano,
Aye.
Commissioner Moss.
Aye.
I don't believe Commissioner Marwa or Commissioner Sanchez has logged on. And we have Commissioner Uematsu.
Aye.
Okay, with that, we have 4 votes in favor and we can go ahead and approve the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move to new business, which is the selection of a vice chair.
So this is Holly from the city. I just wanted to let the commissioners know that before you begin your vice chair election, that a few best practices here, that recognition by the chair is not necessary, and that your nominations do not have to be seconded, and you're welcome to nominate yourself if you would like. You can decline the nomination during the nomination process if you are interested. And after each nomination, the presiding officer will repeat the name of the nominee. The chair will then close the nominations when no other nominations come forward. And then the presiding officer is going to call each nominee in the order in which the nominations were made for a vote, which will be a roll call vote. So go ahead, William.
So do I have any nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Commissioner Uematsu just due to your experience on the Art Commission.
Here, cut out.
Was that Commissioner Uematsu?
Hello?
Yes.
I couldn't hear what was going on. It was going in and out.
So you were just nominated for vice chair.
Hello?
Seem to have some technical difficulties. There we go. Do you have any other vice chair nominations? If you don't, I think we can move forward with. Let's just double check. Just check Camargo again. Commissioner Uematsu, you were just nominated for vice chair. I think we might have lost her.
Okay, I just received, I'm sorry, this is Eleanor Grandflower. I just received a message from Karen. She's having some Wi-Fi connection problems. Oh, looks like she might be back on. Karen, can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Sorry.
Okay.
I told you we might be moving in the car, so that's why I couldn't hear.
Okay. Hello? Hello, hello. What's happening?
We can hear you. There we go. I think we can hear you now.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, I
Yes.
can hear you. Okay. I think we're okay now. Sorry.
And I think that was all the nominations. I believe so. I think we can move forward to the vote.
Okay, so we received a nomination by Commissioner Ariano for Commissioner Uematsu to be our vice chair. So when I call your name, if you can please answer with aye, nay, or abstain. Chair Camargo,
Aye.
Commissioner Ariano,
Aye.
Commissioner Moss,
Aye.
and Commissioner Uematsu.
Hi.
Okay, with that, we now have a new vice chair. Thank you, Karen.
You.
Cool. So we congratulations, Vice Chair Yumatsu. Now we are going to move on to subcommittees. And then we have Center Gallery, Commissioner Ariana. Do you have any updates, or as well as Holly? But I think you're on mute, Holly.
You'd think after a year I would learn. This is Holly from the city of Anaheim. And I just wanted to share with you all that we are continuing our virtual exhibits, and we are continuing our youth artist showcase in the city, which we're really proud of, getting these youth involved, especially when they're distance learning. There's been a great response from all of the high schools, including the private schools, and that's just been really fantastic and encouraging. But I want to give credit where it's due, which is with these wonderful art teachers at these schools who have been so great and responsive and encouraging of their students. So if you have time, please take a look at our Center Gallery Facebook page and take a look at our Young Artist Showcase. Right now we have someone up from Fairmont, but we are hitting all of the schools, and it's really wonderful work. I'm so impressed by the youth talent. It's just phenomenal, and I can't wait to see what they all do. So please check that out. And hopefully when we reopen facilities and move towards our reopening in the future, we hope to get in-person exhibits back into the Center Gallery, and we will update you as soon as we get some new ones, and we'll be reaching out to you, our subcommittee, which is Commissioner Ariano right now, to take a look at those artists and work with us on those exhibit openings. So thank you so much.
And I'm definitely looking forward to that. As I previously shared with you all, I used to work for the city of Anaheim, and my office was actually there at the community center. So I always enjoyed the monthly gallery openings and just seeing the artists set up. And they really would spend about a week or so setting up. And I am excited to be a part of that process in supporting.
Awesome, thank you for that. Now we move on to public art program, which is, I think, I'm not sure if many of you saw the email. Some of these were pushed back for next week. I just keep encouraging folks to hopefully register for those workshops that are happening by district. You can also come in all the district ones and participate. I think definitely this should dictate, what community wants, how public wants to be put in their neighborhood, and additionally other parts of Anaheim as well. So we're hoping that we kind of put a little more folks into that process as much as we can. I know it's over Zoom, but hopefully, we can get also some youth in there too, since they're kind of pros on Zoom now. But I think that's what we have coming up on for the next week. Monday is the first one for District 3, which I'll be on there participating. And then I think in that email that was sent has the other dates for that too, and also the survey, right? I think there's a survey for folks to fill out, which is also, it's pretty easy, it's pretty fast. I think kind of tries to get right to the point of what folks want to see public art to in the community. Yeah, I think that's all we have. I've been trying to promote it, send emails, and force folks to be on those meetings. So.
This is Holly from the city. I just want to encourage you all, please send this out to your networks, to the people in your communities. This is really important for us to hear from all the different unique areas of the city that should be represented as part of this plan. We want to hear some new voices, and this is just a great chance to do that. And at the very least, if we can get some people to fill out that survey, like Commissioner Camargo said, it's really simple, it's to the point, it's really for us to identify what are people thinking about when they think about a public art plan? What is it that comes to mind for them? And what is it that comes to mind in their community that they already interpret as public art? We'd like to know what these things are. There's some great interactive tools on the website, on the Anaheim Art Plan website that I linked to you. Take a look at it. We want people to be going on there and identifying what they consider public art in their neighborhoods on the map that we have. So this is really our chance to do that. Again, it starts Monday. There's only a few more days for us to mark it. We really want to be able to have some robust discussions at each one of these district meetings. And we're not really able to do that unless we have a good amount of people. So please do what you can. I really do consider you, as I said in the email, ambassadors of this project. And I would hope to see each of you at your specific district meetings with hopefully some of your friends and neighbors. So looking forward to seeing you guys soon. Thank you so much. If you have any questions about it, reach out to me anytime.
Thank you, Holly. Now we move on to Poet Laureate, which is also me, but I think we're just, it's the language change that we are waiting for. I think there's nothing more than just that to be kind of hopefully pushed through for the next Poet Laureate that we end up selecting. But I think there's no really any other updates, right, Holly?
That's correct. The only other update is that April is National Poetry Month. So just wanted to put that out there. That will be recognized this month as well. I know that's important to the library as well. I don't know if Jane has anything to add there, but that's our only update.
Okay, so now we move to Heritage, which is Commissioner Sayano, Maz, and Vice Chair Yamatsu.
This is Jane Newell, and I just wanted to mention that we haven't set up a meeting yet, which I'm hoping will be actually after May 1st. And then we'll have something maybe to present at the May meeting.
Thank you, Jane. And then we have Culture, which is Commissioner Sanchez, who is not present. Is there any updates for that?
Not to my knowledge. This is Holly Unner.
Thank you, Holly. Now we move on to any informational items. I did want to give a shout out to Museo, who is continuing to show local talent. There's a exhibition that's like, I'm trying to remember where the shop is at. It's on the ground as well. So it's called El Jale by a little photographer named Alcaid Ramirez. I'm just kind of like amazed of how they're kind of trying to be malleable in this time, especially with museums. And definitely, I never really went to museo as a kid, and I think we're trying to, the new leadership is trying to push that community participation, accessibility to the public, while still being closed, right? But they're putting the art out for the public to see. I think I'm going to be on a live with the artists and another friend of mine who leads the OC protest IG page, who's been working alongside other organizations on mutual aid efforts in North Orange County. So specifically Santa Ana and Anaheim. So that'll be on Tuesday afternoon. But that's, I think, all I have for information items. Does anyone else have announcements?
This is Holly Enner from the city. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that we held our virtual recognition event March 31st, which had passed, but it is still able to be viewed on the anaheim.net/powerofcommunity webpage. I hope that some of you were able to see that. Just a way for us to say thank you and recognize a lot of the amazing volunteers that we've had, which include boards and commissioners like yourself. So personal thank you to all of you for anything that you did last year, as well as the coming year. Thanks in advance. So I hope you get a chance to check that out. It was a real labor of love, and we're really proud of being able to get that done virtually, and we hope to be back in person next year.
This is Jane Newell, and I just wanted to report that our Heritage Seed Kit drive-through at Founders Park was on April 3rd, I guess, was really well attended. We gave out 143 seed kits, and we were thrilled to see that a number of them were third graders driven through by their parents, and the Anaheim chili peppers went right away. So we've asked the teachers to share any pictures once they start growing them. So I'm assuming it's a class project now. We are planning to open the buildings at Founders Park May 1st by reservation. So we'll be sending out a flyer really soon on that. And the theme is going to be the 1918-1920 pandemic, the Spanish flu pandemic. So it'll be an actual tour, and it'll be first person, and we'll be talking about the effects in Anaheim during that particular pandemic. And to be honest with you, a lot of it was very similar to what we went through in 2020. It's very interesting. And last, I did want to say, I love the exhibit on the ground, on the paving that William was just talking about outside museum. In our windows for the Heritage Center, we just put up some posters for the California Valencia Orange Show, which, since it started in 1921, May of 1921, would have been celebrating 100 years if it had continued, but of course it stopped in 1931. But it had some interesting aspects to it, and so we have something in our windows for people to look at to find out a little bit of information about that. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Any other information items? Okay, cool. So I call this meeting at 7:30, and we'll see everyone else, everyone on May 13th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Cool. So, yes, Holly.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Sorry about the technical difficulties.